This is Hartford Whaler Nation.
Welcome to Whaler Nation TV, One Nation Under Green. We're real excited tonight to have a special guest with us. As many of you may know, Tony Harrington has sung so many national anthems in Hartford. I don't know if I can think of anyone else who's sung more. We were talking just before we started filming the show about when you got started. So I think you told me that you started in 1984 with the Whalers.
Yes.
Now, how did that come about? How did you get into the Whaler?
Wow.
If you recall.
Well, I'd always had an interest, and I went to I submitted a package. It wasn't really reviewed with great possibility.
Right.
So then I went another route. I went to the Civic Center director. He suggested that I give it to him. Mm-hmm. So I brought it to him, and he said, "Tony, you got an exhibition game." I said, "Oh, shoot, okay, well, let me," and they had a guy that was doing it, regularly. Actually, I don't think it was exhibition. I think it was a regular season game against Pittsburgh. Yeah. And we did the anthem, and then they started calling me back, and I was like, whoa, all right. And then it just transformed into a little
And that's just how I remember it, because, as going to Whaler games, I was seeing this guy sing the national anthem. And to me, being a little bit younger, you sang it in a way that was different than I'd ever heard it before. And that made it really stick. And it had a thing to it. And then when I would talk to anybody about you or anything, they would say, "Yeah, the way he sings that, it's a little bit different than anyone else does it. But it's got flavor to it, So, but it was great to see that. And you did that for 10 years, and you also did the Wolfpack from '97 to 2002. Mm-hmm. So you've done that. And then I've read also that you've done a game in Fenway in Boston Red Sox. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So you sang at Fenway.
I was doing. At the same time I was performing for the Whalers, I was performing for the Celtics when they were in Hartford.
Oh, in Hartford.
And then
right.
I continued till about 2001 with them in Boston.
Oh, okay.
So I would do 4 or 5 games a season.
They would get you to go,
I was doing Knicks and Rangers for a period in 90, 91.
Is that in Madison Square Garden?
Yes.
Oh, wow,
yes.
Wow, that must have been something.
Oh, that was great.
That's
great.
That's a little bit of a bigger stage than the XL Center for sure. Yeah, wow.
Each venue was phenomenal in its own way.
Yeah.
I thought doing Fenway was exceptional because, even though I got a ticket while I was going down there, but I sang there, and I never performed in a place where I had to force my brain to think forward because the echo. You would sing the song, but you would hear it playing back to you.
Yeah.
So, but it was such a great challenge.
Right.
But I never went back because what they wanted to do was to have the vocalist pre-record and then perform. And it was around the time that Milli Vanilli and all of that stuff. I was like, I've got to sing it for real. I'm not doing any taping and acting like I'm singing.
No lip syncing.
No.
Yeah.
So it just so happened that it turned out that way. But it was great. It was great.
Yeah, because there's so many great venues. How did you actually come up with the version of how you sing it? Where did that come from? Was it something way before the Whalers, or did you come up with it during?
I'm going to tell you. I went to school at the University of Hartford, but I didn't study music. I was a social major, but I used to sing in all of the gospel choirs and things of that sort. We used to have coffee houses, and the anthem just seemed to be something that was challenging and exciting at the same time. And I don't know where the end came. I think it happened when we were, playing the Rangers or Montreal or the Nordiques, where the crowds were just crazy.
Yeah.
And I loved that. It was, because I'm an athlete, at heart. I mean, that's what I did all my life. So
Right.
I couldn't skate. So this was the way that I infused myself
Right, to
into
kick
the
off
game.
the night.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
I think I mentioned to you before. So you could feel when there was a big game
Oh,
atmosphere in the game,
oh
and then how did it
yeah, oh
affect you?
yeah,
How you sang?
oh
It
yeah, oh
really. So you
yeah.
could feel that. Yeah,
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 I mean, when we played New York, I knew they were going to get loud at the end, so I knew I had to throw it out there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It was always exciting, and to just walk around after the performance, and just talking to people. I
Right.
loved that.
Yeah, yeah.
I knew a lot of people that worked there as well.
Right.
But just to talk to little kids,
Yeah.
they would come up and give you congratulations,
Yeah.
and one thing that I marveled was the fact that there were many times I had laryngitis and things of that sort, but I knew that I had to find a way to do it. So in those instances, little kids and even adults would come up and say, oh, that was a nice Lou Rawls version tonight, or they'll come up with the
Yeah.
person that they thought it sounded like.
Right.
And little kids, I mean, they would be point blank, you were great tonight. Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
They are very honest. I love the fact that I could put a smile on their face, just
Yeah.
before the tip off.
Yeah.
And of course, it was important that that we won.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing is when I was doing the whole red shoes thing, we lost more than we won.
Right.
But the people that liked the red shoes never remembered the losses.
Right.
So
Yeah,
they'd
yeah.
always, come on, man, we need the red shoes. I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Did they consider the red shoes a lucky charm?
Yeah,
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
yeah.
You didn't have any green shoes though for the Whalers, huh?
But I tell you, the gentleman that introduced me to the Whaler organization, Gerard Peterson, he said, Tony, no, the red shoes. You're starting to, make a mockery. Don't do the red shoes. And I understood,
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, Billy White Shoes Johnson, he did his
That's
thing.
right. That's right. Hey, everyone's got that. Yeah.
And even to the extent that some fans, and I would go around, I would take the bitter with the sweet.
Right.
Some fans would come up and say, Tony, you're a nice person, but I don't really like the way you do that ending.
Really?
Really?
Yeah, you heard that. Wow.
Right. And I would say, well, thank you very much. I appreciate, your candor. And on occasion, I wouldn't do the high thing on the end. And then I'd look right up in their section. It's like, is it okay?
Yeah.
But because I felt like everybody was there to have a good time. I didn't want to just make
Right.
it all about me.
Right, right.
And it felt good that on occasion I could kind of switch up a little bit
Right.
and satisfy that little old lady over there, and it was just really, I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Miss it.
Yeah, yeah.
Immensely.
I can tell you how much, because as I told you, it was watching you do the anthem. I mean, it was like, this is a guy I see all the time. I feel like I know you. You didn't know me, but then I think it was in 2006, there was some talk about the Whalers coming back, and Mayor Mike had a restaurant called Mayor Mike's, and there was a little faniversary on April 13th, as always happens. And I think it was Mayor Mike got you there somehow. So Mayor Mike gets Tony Harrington there, and you're singing the national anthem to start off the faniversary, and everybody could not wait for it. And the best part about it was, I think you had like an obligation, and you're heading to the parking lot, and I'm not even kidding with you. You got 5 or 6 Whaler guys. They're after you. Will you sign this? Can I get a picture with you? And I'm like, boy, you didn't even suit up once, get on the ice. You didn't score a goal, and they love you. You're part of that legacy. It's,
Well, there are many times when I hung out after the game, at Gaetano's and different
Yeah, yeah,
establishments,
yeah.
and the guys, they would come up. I mean, you know, tooth may have been knocked out or they got stitched up,
Yeah.
blood still dripping,
Yeah.
and they would come up and have a beer.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah,
And it was great. It was
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
I that was the closest that I got to being on the ice.
Right,
You know?
right.
So
And how about singing "O Canada"? How did you like that when you had to do both songs?
loved it.
You loved "O Canada,"
Loved it.
and I had read that you actually learned how to sing it in French.
Yes,
And
yes,
you actually got called up to Montreal to do a game between the USA and Canada. I think it was the
Yes.
World Cup in '96, and they called you up and because they said this guy learned how to sing it. Did you do "O Canada" too, or just the Star Spangled
No,
Banner?
just
that
the
night?
Star Spangled
just
Banner.
the Spangled Banner.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
But it was just a great great time.
Right.
I know that on another occasion when we were playing Montreal in the playoffs, and it was that 7th game, I had actually inquired with I think he was either the general manager or advertising marketing person with Montreal, Claude Mouton, and I asked him, you know, do you think that I could do the anthem for one of the games? He said, Tony, I love you, but you know, I lose my job, you know, and but I was there for that last game where
Yeah.
Montreal won the cup that year.
Yeah, yeah.
It was our year.
Yeah.
But I remember leaving, and I felt guilty because the guys from Montreal, you know, they took me out.
Right. Oh, they did that.
You know, they took me to this place. You know, they could stop cars in the middle of the street. It didn't matter. You know,
Yeah.
they owned the town.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was with this guy, and he called over a police cruiser, and the police cruiser brought us to Chez Paris.
Oh, nice. There's nothing wrong with that. Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so you've
and,
had-
and that was my
yeah.
birthday weekend.
Oh,
I
nice.
didn't want to go home.
Yeah, I bet.
you
I
know.
bet. Yeah. So there's that, and then you've New York. You've
Yes,
sang the national.
yes.
Boston. So are you currently doing any national anthems for any teams or anything?
Actually, no.
Yeah.
I mean, I occasionally do it for my wife. My wife, she's a world-renowned jump rope coach out of Torrington, and they do a lot of things. They, you know, have done the world's jump rope championships in
Wow.
South Africa and London, and so they have a big event every year, and I
Right.
generally do
Wow.
the anthems
Oh, neat,
for
neat,
them.
neat,
So
neat.
and then occasionally for some, you know, collegiate, you know, basketball
Right. Right.
games and soccer occasionally.
So if you know, when the Whalers do come back, because you know the governor's all about taking a shot at the NHL. If they call you, they say, Tony, you know, we need to get the Whalers in here, but we need to have you back too. Would you be interested in singing the national anthem at the Civic
Now
Center?
you know better than to even ask me. Look.
Do we have any red shoes anymore?
I don't have any red shoes, but you know, something would be bright and sparkling and ready to go.
That
you know.
sounds-
That was my excuse
Yeah.
to you know, dress up every, you know,
To the nines.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a great feeling. I miss it, and I met a lot of great people, and occasionally. They will hit me up through Facebook or
Yeah,
whatever.
That's
And
how I
so
got in
it's
touch
one
with
of-
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I said to him, I said, Tony, you want to come on the show? And you're like, show what? What's going on? I said, it's a Whaler show. You know, yeah. I didn't know if you'd be interested or not, but
Oh, come on.
it's-
I mean, that was my lifeblood. I mean,
yeah.
I didn't skate. I wish I had learned.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And you know, even from the standpoint of a sense of pride, because when I used to go to different places where my band was playing, or I just went out for a beer,
Right.
I'd hear conversations, you know, in the North End occasionally where someone would say, well, yeah, it was black guys singing the anthem, you know, and that brought a little bit of pride to me because,
Yeah.
you know, now there are more
Right. But at the time,
people
yeah.
of color
Right.
that are involved in the sport.
Right.
And I feel like even from the standpoint of where I was just doing the anthem, I felt like it was an avenue to open some doors for others.
Right.
You know, it may not
Absolutely.
be, perceived as such, because you're singing
Yeah.
the anthem. But I believe
Yeah.
that it was time for that, and I'm very appreciative of the fact that I got that opportunity. To,
Yeah. Well,
be out there.
you're still well known throughout Whaler, forums, and everybody remembers you. It's really is almost like you're a player. Maybe they should raise it. You have a number you'd want to raise to the rafters, but it's. I'm just saying because everybody knows your name.
I had a shirt, and I don't know why I picked 00.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a Whaler jacket and everything, and then I gave it to my little cousin and never got it back. But there's really nothing but good thoughts.
Yeah.
There's people that were like 5, 6, 7 years old that are now in their mid-20s, have established careers, and they come up and say, "Excuse me, Tony?"
Yeah.
My dad used to bring,
It's amazing the part of it. And if you're not doing anthems now, but you're still doing with your band
R&B,
it's,
and
Tony
jazz.
Harrington and Touch. And
Yes.
what's the website if anybody wanted to take a look and
Well,
see about your band?
Tony Harrington in Touch on Facebook.
Okay.
We have TonyHarrington.com. We're just trying to keep busy. The band's been together for this year will be 29 years.
Wow, yeah, it's been. I did notice that you guys have been together for a long time.
Ages.
Yeah. But you know what? That's great. It keeps you young. Keeps you going.
I love it. I love it. And really, my involvement with the Whalers taught me resilience, because there's never been an event that I have not been able to do.
Right.
Now, when I haven't been able to do it physically because I lost my voice, I surrounded myself with individuals who could carry it.
Right.
So I think it was really learning ground, for me in terms of starting something and completing and doing the best that you could. So I'm very appreciative.
Absolutely. And if anybody wanted to, the only way I've seen your rendition, there's one clip on YouTube. And I think it might be under your name, actually. And I think it says Tony Harrington does what he does best. But it's a rendition of you doing the national anthem at the opening Wolfpack game, and it's actually the clip there. So you can see Tony do that there. We're actually going to show you a clip of a game where Tony most definitely sang the national anthem. It was Game 6 of the Adams Division semifinal. We'll show you a quick clip, and we definitely want to thank Tony for coming out tonight.
Thank
it's
you.
really
It's
great
my
to
pleasure.
see you.
Definitely appreciate it.
45 seconds to go for the 7th game. Now Patrick Rock tried to get out, they had to go back. The Canadians can't get out of their own zone. The crowd, everybody on their feet. Here comes Rock. All right, now he's reaching the bench, and he gets there with 32 seconds left in the 3rd period. The net is empty in the Montreal end, and they clear the puck to the Canadians' line. 22 seconds as Robinson comes to the blue line, slips it through. Offside call at the blue line.
Steve Carbonneau tried in the worst way to get out, but he couldn't. And here is a dumb play by Ulf Samuelsson. If Myers saw that, he is going to give Samuelsson 2 minutes for spearing to start it, and then some roughing penalties. Now, I will say this about Claude Lemieux. He's going to be a player, but he does this too often. This is the 6th time in the Stanley Cup playoffs this year that he's laying the ice. Now, I hope he's not hurt now, or I'll sound like a fool, but you can't do it and get away with it. He'll get a reputation of being a diver before he's played a full year in this league. He's all right.
I must confess I was checking the time clock and didn't see what happened.
Well, he got speared in the stomach, I'll tell you that. And I think you're going to see, if Myers saw this, it's going to be a major penalty, because it was a spear. And it's a major penalty. Look at Francis dancing around at the penalty box there. And John D'Amico saw it. I don't know whether Myers did, but linesmen can call major penalties, not minors, majors. And if it is a major penalty for spearing, game misconduct, you're out. Now the question is, who did it?
Well, the Whalers are certainly upset.
They have one break. The face-off is not in the zone.
Okay, we have 20 seconds showing on the clock. We have 1-0 Hartford showing on the scoreboard.
Now this here's the play right here. There's the spear by Ulf Samuelson, and then he jumps.
All right, he gets a 5-minute plus a game misconduct penalty,
which is automatic with spearing penalties this year in the National Hockey League. And you cannot call a spearing minor. It has to be a major.
And the Canadians have called a timeout.
I don't think the referee should allow him to have a timeout. The rule states you're supposed to call it within reasonable time after the whistle. And this has been 3 minutes since the whistle, but Myers will probably give it 2 minutes.
Well, let's just take our breath and think of what is happening around the National Hockey League. The Canadians and the Whalers are 20 seconds away from going into Game 7. The New York Rangers have eliminated the Washington Capitals after they eliminated the Philadelphia Flyers. The Edmonton Oilers must win tomorrow night in Calgary or they will not successfully defend the Stanley Cup. And the Toronto Maple Leafs can send that series back to St. Louis for Game 7 if they win on home ice tomorrow night. The second season has in many ways indeed been a strange one.
Well, this year for sure, you couldn't have predicted all this no matter how much you knew about the game.
Okay, Harry, now let's say the Canadians score here in the last 20 seconds. They will have a power play going into overtime because of the major penalty. However, scoring at Mike Liut has been something they haven't done in 59 minutes and 40 seconds up to now.
Well, that's right, because the penalties go over into the overtime, and we all know that you don't come on the ice and you get scored on when it's a major penalty. What a catastrophe that would be from a Hartford Whaler viewpoint should it happen. Montreal has to win the draw, get it in the zone,
Stick is okay.
and cause a turnover here.
Now, what's Lemieux arguing the point now with?
I don't know. He's cleared up. His injury's cleared up. Nothing makes a coach matter when a guy gets a major penalty for a high sticking or spearing, and then the guy that he high sticked and speared plays the power play. But Lemieux can't play the power play here because the rule states if you're lying on the ice and the trainer has to come out, you must leave.
Well, what an end of season it's been for the fans here in Hartford. There they are. Nail-biting time. Okay, play underway. Chelios flips it in. 15 seconds left. On the boards, Chelios comes in. Do the Canadians get a chance? No. And there's a good play by Gavin because they can ice the puck.
They can ice it on the penalty, you're right.
3, 2, 1. We are going back to the Montreal Forum for Game 7.
Well, I can tell you this. The Hartford Whalers, it wasn't a great hockey game, but it was very competitive, and you have to admire what they've done. They fought all through March to make the playoffs. They beat Quebec, which was a huge upset, and they're forcing the Montreal Canadiens into a 7th game. And when you play a 7th game, go to center ice and throw the coin.
Okay, wait a minute. Now, the Whalers all started to celebrate, and I saw that, and then the whistle went, and there's still 1 second left to play. Some of the Canadians, Matt Naslund, I think he's gone.
He got a penalty.
Oh, all right.
Got a penalty right at the end there for giving the stick to Stuart Gavin.
So it's a slashing penalty. Patrick Roy showed his rookie years by skating off the bench, going over to the net area, and then slamming his stick against the post and breaking it, then skating back to the bench again.
Here's the penalty to Naslund. I think we'll see it. It's after they went in the boards. It's right here. He slashes him across the chest and gets 2 minutes.
Well, I don't care. I said we're going back to Montreal. We are. With the 1 second remaining. Gives the fans a chance to cheer twice.
That's right. And sing the current song that's being sung around the world of sport when teams are on the verge of losing.
Well, it's been quite a night here for the Whalers and their fans, and now it is officially all over. Well, if indeed this is to be the last game this team plays in this building, they have left the fans with a great memory of what it was. They have avoided elimination. Mike Liu has shut out the Montreal Canadiens. He stopped 32 shots, 9 of them in the last period. And the Hartford Whalers force Game 7 Tuesday. And Harry, this series is on the table.
It sure is. And the Hartford Whalers and Mike Liu came to the front as every team has done in a critical game so far in this series. Now we're going to Montreal. They both have to win.
Right.
Get there early, folks. It's going to be a dandy.
The Whalers will be heroes here in Hartford, no matter what happens in Montreal Tuesday. And so the final score, the Hartford Whalers 1, the Montreal Canadiens nothing. Our Stanley Cup playoff coverage continues in just a moment.
Welcome back to Whaler Nation TV, One Nation Under Green. I have taken the spot from Tony Harrington,
That's
who had a
right.
previous commitment, and we thank him so much for coming on the show tonight.
Great talking to him.
You had a great
Yeah,
conversation.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was off camera listening to it, and you know, he talked about the community and everything like that.
He remembers it.
No,
Yeah,
he
he
does,
remembers
and
it.
he was at that show.
Yeah.
That game.
The game, the clip you just watched, he sang the national anthem. He was there, you know, and you could see from the crowd and everything. I mean, that was probably closest you can get to the apex of the Whalers. You know, they were into the second round of the playoffs. They were taking on the New York Yankees of the NHL.
Absolutely.
You know, a team with 23 cups at that. Well, at the time they had 22 or 20,
Love
21.
to hate 'em.
But yeah. But you know, and you could see that the town was like, oh my gosh, we beat them 1-0. We're forcing them to Game 7. I mean, it was a lot of you know, a lot of civic pride, a lot of identity.
And you look at what Tony said. You know, we took them to Game 7. And they went on to win the Cup that year.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
We were that close.
Yeah,
And Jeff Sanderson said it when he was in Hartford.
Right, he did.
When he said, what if? You know, what if we got past that bump?
Yeah.
And you had a great team with Lawless, Gavin, Evison, the leg line,
Yeah.
Deneen, Francis, Quenville.
Yeah.
Just unbelievable. It was a perfect mix of what Hartford needed to build a championship club.
Right, and you could see how you know the knock on attendance for Whalers is greatly exaggerated when you look at a clip like that. Any team that's going to at least put a competitive effort into their season is going to be well supported by Hartford. So,
And I still believe, even
right.
today, you know, they talk about attendance figures, whether it's in the NHL, this club, that club. You know what? If you put a winning club on the ice, people are going to go see your club because not only is it your club,
Right.
your town, your city,
Right.
your state,
Right.
That's what Hartford and the Whalers meant to the NHL.
Yeah.
It was our club. And when people get upset, they sit there and say, you took away us.
Right.
And it was a
Right.
part of us got taken away.
Yeah.
So we have to get going, but we'll be back next time. We have a couple more guests lined up for the future shows. Remember, we are Whaler Nation TV, and we are One Nation Under Green. Have a great night.